Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is Pool Chapter 37, and this one is titled Lovers Quarrel. You allowed yourself to feel down in the dumps for a little bit and just stayed away from everyone until you had collected yourself again. Guess I should go back and do my job, you thought with a sigh as you exited the cabin and went to see what everyone else was doing. Aizawa had the students doing countless sit-ups and push-ups, and you stood a little to the side watching vacantly. The girls smiled weakly at you to acknowledge that you had arrived, but Aizawa didn't even look at you, and you felt his lack of care stab you in the heart again. Figures, you thought sourly before stepping in to give Uraraka some pointers on form. After the kids had been well and truly ruined by another round of grueling exercises, Aizawa excused them, telling them to go and clean up before potluck dinner, and they all left slowly, heading to the cabins to get their things for the showers. Do you need me for anything this evening? If not, I'll continue writing programs for the class, you lied, feeling like you needed an excuse to cover for your little moping session in the cabin earlier. No, Aizawa finally looked at you. Once dinner is done, I'll be back into the cabin for us to talk. Your heart jumped in your chest and you tried not to let the nervousness show on your face, but he could tell you were a little hesitant about it. Just breathe, he commented as he turned and walked away. It's not like it's going to be a horrible talk. You didn't have a chance to reply as he sauntered away, so you just left and went back to the cabin to look like you were doing something, when really you were just waiting nervously for Aizawa to appear. It felt like an eternity, but it was probably only 45 minutes before his form darkened the doorway of the cabin. Hey, you greeted stiffly. He nodded in return greeting and walked in, taking his scarf off and draping it over the back of the chair, then unbuttoning the top of his shirt. Your eyes traversed his body as he tugged on his right sleeve and pulled it up, taking the hair tie from his wrist and sliding his fingers through his hair, raking his locks back and putting them up into a ponytail. You want to talk? He commented. Could we just skip it and hop back into bed together? You thought, as your eyes locked onto his exposed jawline that always had a way of rendering you speechless. Despite your internal monologue, you nodded. Yes. Well, so I start, do I? You asked, balling your hands into fists nervously, then relaxing them again. Okay, where do I start? You let out a stiff sigh and puffed your chest up to help gather your courage to say what you wanted to. Okay, I didn't like how you were all over me last night, but then completely ignored me today. I thought that maybe you tried to hold it together, but the emotions had been building since the morning, and it had been pent up long enough, causing you to choke on your words. Well, he replied calmly, taking a seat. I did say cards on the table, so I guess this is what I should have expected. He let out a disgruntled sigh. Ian, there's a certain level of professionalism that we need to maintain. Yes, but flat out ignoring me after we'd been so intimate hurts. Correct, but there are two sides to every story. And just because you are feeling a certain way about me doesn't mean that I have to accept your emotional state and make it my own. That hurt, he replied in a shaky voice, bottom lip quivering uncontrollably. Don't just sleep with me just to tell me that you don't want me. All those things you said to me last night, they were all lies, weren't they? No, he stated firmly. Those are all true. Then what's the problem? Why can't we... It's complicated. It's not complicated, you're making it complicated. It's simple. You like me, I like you, end of story. You need to calm down, he said, still unwavering, holding a very fatherly firm tone in his voice. Go and sleep on it. We'll talk again in the morning. Absolutely fuming, you left, turning and marching into the bedroom and getting yourself ready for bed. The sun was just setting and you figured that you could do with an early night anyway, due to the disjointed night that you'd had the other night, and despite your angry state, you drifted off to sleep. When you woke next, it was well and truly dark and you heard Aizawa come back into the cabin. Had he left? You thought, sitting up in bed and looking out the bedroom door. I didn't hear him go. You were about to call out, but then stopped yourself. What were you even going to say to him? Deciding against it, you lay back down again, your movements making the bed sheets rustle a little. Ian. Aizawa's deep voice called as he walked to the bedroom door. Yeah, he replied softly, your mouth half covered by the pillow. I apologise if I appeared harsh in our conversation earlier. You nodded in the darkness, still a little gloomy. It's okay, you finally replied, I know we need to keep professional appearances. I wasn't meaning to ignore you. He paused. I don't know how to act around you. Act? What do you mean act? You asked, smiling in the dark as you lightened up a little at his cute reply. This is probably the wrong time to discuss it, he replied, a little embarrassed at his comment. That's okay, he replied softly, just happy that he had opened up a little and everything seemed relatively okay between you two. Listen, feel free to say no, but you're welcome to sleep in the bed, with me again tonight, but don't feel pressured. Sorry, I'm rambling. I'll even put a pillow between us. Oh, okay, that's stupid. Forget I said anything. Good night. You quickly rolled over and scrunched yourself down under the sheets, mentally beating yourself up over your useless verbal diarrhea. There was no sound behind you and you thought that maybe Aizawa had left the room, but then the bed creaked under his weight as his body leant onto it and he crawled up beside you and lay down. He's here. Okay, that's good. He's not mad at me at least. You shifted your weight a little and took a small breath in before speaking. I'm sorry I said stupid stuff about us. I just want to make it clear though that I like you. Silence was your reply, and a pang of fear shot through your heart. Make no mistake, Yin, I've fallen for you, Aizawa replied in his raspy low voice. Ooh, and there ends chapter 37. Stay tuned for chapter 38 coming tomorrow.